Hello, I'm Eric Kraus, and welcome to If I Only Had 10 Minutes. I'm excited to be joined today by communications industry veteran Jason Glashow. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Eric, it's a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. You've spent your career at the intersection of healthcare and communications, and I'm looking forward to tapping into that experience. Let's start simply. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how your career has evolved?
Sure, glad to. Yeah, so I actually came into the healthcare side a little bit later in my career, but like many of us, I started as a reporter, went from there to the agency world where I actually worked with a lot of healthcare and technology and all kinds of other companies, and went actually to work for Microsoft for a time, and then went back to the industry to the agency world and had a bunch of healthcare clients, and one of them invited me to run communications for them, and that's kind of where things took off. And I figure I'm in Boston, the healthcare hub of the world, and so may as well focus there. But a few years ago, after working as comms leader for a emerging healthcare company that went a little bit sideways, I decided, hey, maybe it's time to try my own thing, and I've been doing that ever since.
Oh, terrific. Okay, so let's begin the session with just a handful of questions.
Sure.
First, how do you see AI transforming the skill sets most valued in communications professionals?
Yeah, well, I'll caveat that by saying whatever I tell you today, Eric, will not age well, because this is obviously changing every moment. But
Right.
look, for people who say AI isn't here to stay, they're probably not quite right on that. I think it is going to take over, not take over, but it's going to be part of every aspect of what we do in communications. And what I mean by that is it's not just a great starting point, but it is a really good research tool. But beyond that, is it's a really uh, good way to get so much work done. And you think about it as an individual contributor or part of a team, the productivity levels should be going way up. What that leads to is a discussion about the roles of teams and strategy and so forth. And that's going to start to separate the field a little bit. And I think people a lot earlier in career are going to have to be uh, a bigger part of strategic work, which, you spent most of your time when you were younger training. Now you're going to be in the mix because that's what the clients are going to be expecting because all the other stuff is going to get done. A lot of it's going to get done by AI.
Why do you think some companies are hesitant to embrace AI tools in their comms functions?
Yeah, I think that's probably a bit limited at this point, meaning that I think that people who haven't been early adopters necessarily will get on board. I mean, we saw the same thing with social broadly, and
Right.
I just think it's a matter of time. The question is, what is the governance you put around it? How do you adopt it? What is it used for? Uh, and ultimately, is it supporting the goals of the communications organization? And specifically, are you getting the quality and the kind of messaging and the kind of deliverables that are critical? And all of this conversation suggests that the human component of communications is going to go by the wayside, and that just can't be. We are fundamentally in a person to person business, and I just don't see where that gets lost.
In your experience, what do you think people misunderstand about hiring a fractional comms leader?
Yeah, it's really interesting because from an enterprise standpoint, you see it in finance and you see it in regulatory and you see it in all kinds of roles. Um, for communications, it works just as effectively. And what I've found, particularly where I am working with earlier stage biopharma companies, their investment is largely in the science, right? They're not focused on a lot of the marketing components. So it's a really great fit there for that time when, companies are really scaling up. For larger companies, I think it's a perfect fit because you can get honestly some of the most talented people out there to come in. Yeah, I think that the big concern may be around disruption. What does it mean to put somebody into that role where they're having such an influence on the organization? At the same time, it can really be plug and play. And you think about how long it takes to get great talent into an organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your career,
Hmm.
you've been around it, you've touched it, you've participated in fractional hiring, but is there a case where leaders should bring in fractional expertise?
Oh, 100%. I mean, again, when you think about the world of biotech, for example, where you can be expert down to, really small, nuanced areas of whether it's science or just broadly how the industry works, uh, you can get some really special talent, and there's a lot of people out there who can really support a lot of the things that you may need for a given period of time. And it's not, it's a it's being able to distinguish between traditional consulting roles and somebody who really has a seat at the table to help bring teams along. And I think that's the big difference. And that's the kind of experience that you should expect.
When you look at your life, both
Mm.
professionally and personally, is there a compliment that you've received that you have never forgotten?
Yeah, but you're going to laugh at what it was. I was a Cub reporter. I was in Singapore covering an air show, and I was in the airport. And I had a question I had to ask of a very senior executive at a very large defense contractor. And I saw him in the airport. I ran right up to him, and I knew I was the last person that he wanted to see. And he turns to me and he goes, "Man, that is a great tie. Where'd you get that tie?" And I was so flummoxed and feeling like I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then all of a sudden one of his aides comes by and whisks him away. And I remember the compliment, not for the compliment, I remember the compliment for the missed opportunity. And not, I just said, yeah, thanks, but I need to know this. But he completely threw me off my game. And, ever since then, I try to look out for that when when I get these false compliments about ties, which I never wear anymore anyway. So
Yeah, none of us really do anymore.
right.
So, um, well, as we come to the end of this session, let's close with this question. What would you do with an extra 10 minutes in your day?
Hmm. Such a great question. I just went to a class reunion and just such a great opportunity to see people from when we were really little kids. And, I think every day, if you can, if you have an extra 10 minutes, think about who you can reach out to. Who is there out in the world who you just been meaning to get back in touch with, or can shed a little light on whatever it is that you've been thinking about. Because people, you get longer in career and in life in general, and it's good to catch up with those people, but it's also good to remember, a lot of where you came from and see how people are themselves. And I think that's the more important part because, it's a big, crazy world out there, and it's nice to, it's nice to hear a familiar voice from time to time.
That's absolutely fantastic. Well, Jason, we come to the end. I truly appreciate your candor,
Yeah,
and I can't thank you enough for joining us. Thank you.
Eric, it's always a pleasure. Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.